As senior historian John Curatola of the World War II Museum once said, World War II was a war of technology, a war of science. Every nation sought out new and innovative ways to defeat their enemies, pushing the boundaries of invention. While some breakthroughs shaped the course of history, others were bizarre, unconventional, and ultimately failures. Alongside iconic projects like the Manhattan Project, which revolutionized warfare, there were countless weird and unusual weapons that consumed vast resources without success. In this video, we explore 7 weird weapons devised during this global conflict. Bat bomb. Since the beginning of 1942, amidst the fierce Second World War, a dental surgeon from Pennsylvania, Dr. Lytle S. Adams, boldly sent a letter to the White House. In the letter, he proposed a unique weapon that he believed could change the course of the war and tilt the balance of victory towards the United States: the bat bomb. Adams came up with this idea after visiting Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico, where he witnessed the enormous numbers and agile movements of bats. He envisioned attaching timed incendiary devices to the bats and then releasing them from airplanes over Japanese cities. According to Adams' plan, the bomb-carrying bats would automatically disperse and seek refuge in the dark eaves and attics of buildings, factories, and businesses. When the timed detonation clock struck, a series of simultaneous fires would ignite, creating a fierce inferno that would destroy everything. Among thousands of voluntary civilian proposals sent to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, somehow Adams' bat bomb idea caught the attention of military leaders and was handed over to the Army's Chemical Warfare Service for evaluation. "That sounds reasonable," said historian John Curatola from the Second World War Museum. "Bats naturally prefer to live in eaves and dark places. We could attach small timers to them. If deployed, the effectiveness of the bat bomb could be astonishing." Convinced by the potential of this new and unconventional weapon, both the Army and Navy of the United States heavily invested millions of dollars into the bat bomb project. Thousands of bats were gathered for large-scale tests to turn Adams' seemingly crazy idea into reality. However, after numerous efforts, the bat bomb project was ultimately canceled in 1944. Nevertheless, Adams continued to believe in the devastating power of the bat bomb, even claiming that it could surpass atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki while causing fewer civilian casualties. The wind cannon. In 1943, the United States Air Force joined forces with the British, expanding the scale of strategic bombing campaigns targeting German cities. Factories, warehouses, and transportation centers became the main targets, causing severe damage to Germany's industrial base. Faced with the Allied onslaught, Nazi Germany had to contend with a severe shortage of weapons, while American and British factories continued to produce aircraft and tanks at a staggering pace. To turn the tide and boost morale, Adolf Hitler and Minister of Propaganda Joseph Goebbels loudly proclaimed the birth of Wunderwaffen, miracle weapons. These advanced weapons were expected to sow terror among the Allies and help Nazi Germany regain the upper hand. Among the standout Wunderwaffen were the V-1 and V-2 rockets, launched from mainland Europe, aimed at the British capital of London. What you see here is the effort to create new and unusual weapons in the context of Germany's dwindling resources of aluminum, steel, and other metals, as well as a shortage of pilots, historian John Curatola notes. Many of these weapons were invented out of desperation. Not all Wunderwaffen were truly miraculous, as the propaganda claimed. A prime example is the Windkanone, wind cannon, a peculiar anti-aircraft weapon that did not use ammunition. Instead, it fired a powerful stream of compressed nitrogen and hydrogen with the aim of blowing enemy aircraft out of the sky. Although in tests, the wind cannon could break a wooden board at a distance of 200 meters when deployed practically on a bridge over the River Elbe. This costly weapon proved to be completely useless. The Project Habakuk. In the early years of World War II, the elite U-boat fleet of Nazi Germany wreaked havoc across the North Atlantic. They silently attacked and sank numerous British warships, as well as Allied merchant vessels. The most dangerous area was the Mid-Atlantic Gap, a vast region beyond the range of anti-submarine patrol aircraft, departing from the coasts of the United States or Britain. To counter the threat from Hitler's Grey Wolves, a bold idea was put forward: to build a giant aircraft carrier right in the middle of the Mid-Atlantic Gap, serving as a refueling base and launching point for Allied patrol missions. However, in the context of scarce steel and other critical materials, constructing such a massive aircraft carrier was impossible. It was at that moment that British inventor Geoffrey Pike came up with a creative solution. Why not build a floating airbase out of ice? With the help of Max Perutz, a molecular biologist, Pike invented Pikecrete, a high-strength, bullet-resistant composite material made from a mixture of ice and wood pulp. Based on this special material, Pike outlined detailed plans for Project Habakuk, a gigantic floating fortress over 1.6 kilometers long and weighing 2.2 million tons, with a thick hull capable of withstanding torpedo attacks, and a large hollow interior space capable of accommodating aircraft and small boats. Moreover, any damage to the structure could be easily repaired by adding more ice. To test the feasibility of the idea, a 1:1000 scale model, weighing 1,000 tons, was built and tested on a lake in Canada. But when the design of Project Habakuk was completed, it also became outdated. The emergence of long-range patrol aircraft, with large fuel tanks, helped effectively counter the U-boat threat, without the need for a massive ice fortress. Although not put into practical application, Project Habakuk remains a testament to the extraordinary creativity of humans in times of war. As historian John Curatola remarks, war drives innovation in ways that cannot occur in peacetime. We may laugh at those quirky ideas today, but it is the courage to innovate, to dare to think and do something new, that is the key driving force behind every breakthrough. Exploding rats. During World War II, the Special Operations Executive, a secret intelligence organization of Britain, created incredibly sophisticated spy devices, even inspiring the character James Bond. The SOE cleverly disguised explosives in seemingly harmless objects, from champagne bottles to Bali show wood statues to dead mice. In a daring plan, SOE agents in London purchased 100 dead mice disguised as a scientific laboratory experiment. They then stuffed plastic explosives inside these mice and sent them to their undercover colleagues in occupied France by Nazi Germany. According to the plan, the agents would place these dead mice near the steam boilers of factories and locomotive engines. They believed that German soldiers would pick up the mice and throw them into the boilers, causing significant damage. However, this seemingly perfect plan had a fatal flaw. As historian John Curatola notes, they assumed that someone would pick up the rat and throw it into the boiler. It was a logical leap between step 1 and step 3. How could you be sure that the rat would go into the boiler? In fact, Curatola's fears were well-founded. The Germans intercepted the shipment of dead rats and quickly realized SOE's intentions. Instead of destroying them, they sent the rats to German military schools as a cautionary tale of the subtleties of espionage. Soldiers were ordered to be on the lookout for bomb rats. Although a failure, SOE's exploding rat campaign had a significant psychological impact. According to a report from SOE itself, the campaign sowed confusion in the German ranks, causing them to become suspicious of everything, even paranoid about an army of bomb rats that did not actually exist. Great Panjandrum. The D-Day landings on June 6, 1944, were the result of years of careful and secret preparation. While the Allies worked out the details of Operation Overlord, a massive amphibious assault on Normandy, France, the Germans were not slacking off. They built a formidable defense system along the coast, dubbed the Atlantic Wall, with hundreds of miles of trenches, dense minefields, and strategically placed artillery positions. To breach the Atlantic Wall and advance inland, The Allies knew they needed superior weapons and technology. This led to many innovations, most notably a special group of tanks nicknamed Funnies. The Funnies tanks were equipped with a variety of unique devices, such as rotating levers to safely detonate mines, or giant bundles of wood that could be deployed as bridges over anti-tank trenches. However, not all inventions were as successful as expected. A typical example was the Panjandrum, a giant metal-wheeled vehicle propelled by a rocket engine and carrying a large amount of explosives. According to the design, the Panjandrum was to be launched from a landing ship, speeding across the beach, crashing straight into a German bunker or turret and exploding, destroying the target. However, this idea encountered a major obstacle. The guidance system was too primitive. As a result, the Panjandrum tests in 1943 and 1944 both ended in disaster. The vehicle moved erratically, lost control, and could not hit the target. Eventually, the Panjandrum was removed from the operational plan. Anti-tank attack dogs. During the early stages of World War II, the Soviet Union deployed a unique and ruthless weapon, trained dogs to become suicide bombers. Thousands of dogs were meticulously trained to attack German tanks. They carried backpacks filled with explosives, with a protruding lever. When approaching the target, the dogs would crawl under the tank, inadvertently pulling the lever, triggering the explosive charge and ending both the dog and the tank. An estimated 40,000 four-legged warriors were trained for this suicide mission. However, the actual effectiveness they achieved was not high. The German forces quickly recognized the threat and did not hesitate to shoot down any dog within range, rendering this tactic ineffective. The Cruml. At first glance, the Cruml rifle of the German Nazi looks more like a prop in a cartoon than a real combat weapon. However, this is a serious effort by the German army to create a gun capable of shooting around corners. The Cruml is basically an attachment to the barrel of the standard MP-44 assault rifle. It bends the barrel at a certain angle, allowing the soldier to hit the target without having to directly face it. There are two versions of the Cruml. One bends the barrel 30 degrees to shoot around obstacles, and the other bends it 90 degrees to shoot from inside an armored vehicle. To aim with the curved barrel, the Cruml is equipped with a special mirror system. However, after capturing and testing the Cruml, the U.S. military found that this weapon was not very effective. The movement of the bullet inside the bent barrel caused them to deform, significantly reducing range and accuracy. Not to mention, the barrel itself was very prone to damage, often breaking after just a few hundred shots.